Morning. By my watch, it's 11:30, and we welcome everyone for joining us for the Thursday weekly briefing. This forecast is going to cover today, January 12th, through next Wednesday, January 18th. And overall, we're basically going to be stuck in the same weather pattern we've been in for the last couple of days, or last couple of weeks, actually. And real quick, you'll see here on the screen, and if you checked in earlier, you saw this as well. This is our regional satellite imagery, visible satellite imagery, and I have basically lightning overlaid so we can see where the area of showers and storms that's supposed to move into our region later today. And you can see for the most part, everything's still very west of the mountains. So we're going to see a lot of clouds today. And those clouds are keeping our temperatures down this morning. However, we're seeing this warm air is coming in from the south, and you can kind of see over South Carolina. Notice how these clouds, we call this more convective clouds. They got more of that cauliflower look. That's spreading in from the south, so you can actually, basically, that's our warm air, our very warm and moist air. And that's going to overtake this chilly air that we have in place. And that's going to result in, a very low chance of seeing some thunderstorms later today. And so these thunderstorms that you see that's out here over parts of Alabama and in Tennessee, we're going to expect that to weaken. But overall, again, a lot of clouds today. We had a very little small area of showers that moved through earlier. We could continue to see that with that stuff coming up out of South Carolina, out ahead of this main line, which really is not going to impact us until this evening. So getting back to that, so we're expecting that line of showers and storms to start to approach us from the west, really in the evening hours, probably somewhere between 6 and 8 p.m. coming here into the western Piedmont. And that is where there is the best chance to see basically a strong isolated thunderstorm as it moves in right around or right after sunset. The main threat, if we do happen to see that one isolated strong storm, is basically some strong wind gusts. And even as that line of showers moves through, even outside of thunder, we could see some strong wind gusts mixed down to the ground within the heavier rain, because there will be the chance, even though we're not expecting thunder really, aside from the far western Piedmont and the Triad, there still will be the chance for some decent moderate rain if you're out and about late this evening and into the overnight hours. As that moves through, we could still see some strong winds, probably somewhere 30 to 40 miles per hour as that moves through. As we look for the next upcoming week, again, you can see where all the colors are in the top left. Basically, all our impactful weather, for the most part, is in this first 12 to 18 hours, today and tonight, as this cold front moves into the area. Now, that cold front, it's going to bring in some significantly cooler, more chilly air and temperatures into the area in time for the weekend. And that cold air is a little delayed. So when you wake up tomorrow, you will notice that, it's cooler, but that cold air really comes in Friday night and on Saturday, and that will be our coldest period, is basically Saturday and Saturday night and continuing into Sunday. As I mentioned, the rain moves through this evening tonight, and there will be that potential for an isolated strong thunderstorm in the west. Now, something we're looking at is for Friday night, mainly Friday night, maybe early Saturdays, we're going to have a very strong system in the upper levels of the atmosphere, and the moisture is fairly limited. But because we got that cold front that would have gone through, and we got very cold air aloft with a very deep trough and actually a closed low, a few of the models are trying to show some precipitation trying to reach the ground Friday night, early Saturday morning. The bulk of that precipitation is mostly to our south and southeast. So we're talking about in the vicinity of Wayne, Cumberland, and Sampson County. We could be cold enough and there could be enough moisture. If it reaches the ground, we could have a few snowflakes or flurries possible, but that is a very, very, very low probability. Really not expecting any accumulations. But you know, if you're up and about early enough Saturday morning, you could see some of the white stuff falling from the sky. Otherwise, it's going to be very dry and chilly over the weekend. As I mentioned, temperatures are going to moderate quickly as we look into the early part of next week. We'll be back in the 50s and 60s after being in the 40s and 50s over the weekend. Our next weather system is going to come at us Monday night and a Tuesday. It's going to be all liquid. And then, you know, rainfall amounts look very light. So it shouldn't be much of an impact, or really not expecting much in the way of thunder either. So really, you know, the bulk of our weather is going to be here in the next 24 hours. Real quick, here's like our next several days in terms of severe thunderstorm potential. Everything's again in the first period today and tonight. Here's our rainfall amounts that we're expecting over the next several days. Notice again, we're getting most of our rain is going to be today, and we're actually continuing to see this theme where the western part of the state receives most of the rain and the east has very little. And you'll see how that impacts our drought conditions in a slide coming up. But with over the next 24 hours, we're generally expecting a ½ inch to 2/3 of an inch across western portions, the western Piedmont, the Triad, and maybe as little as a 1/10 of an inch out towards the coastal plain around Goldsboro, Fayetteville, and Clinton. After dry conditions over the weekend, then we have our weak system that comes through on mostly Tuesday, and that should be a relatively light precip event of about a 1/10 to maybe a 1/4 of an inch. Here's the drought. So, you know, over the last several days, we have seen some rain, but the bulk of that rain has been across the western portions. That's been the theme we've seen basically since the winter, since December. So there was some improvement down here, if you look here, across portions of the southern Piedmont. And from what they're telling us, you know, we actually, as we continue, or the eastern portions of the state continue to see these lesser rainfall amounts, they may actually start to see more severe drought conditions develop. So that's something to keep our eye on. Here's a 6 to 10 day temperature and precip outlook. As you can see, it looks like the warmer and above normal temperatures are here to stay. And as we look out, you know, 7 to 10 days, we're not seeing any signs of a large pattern change or that cold air coming in. So right now, the above normal temperatures look like they're going to continue. It also looks like you can see here, you know, not incredibly wet, but we are in that pattern where we're seeing these weather systems about every 2 to 3 days that are bringing us, you know, at least some wetting rains to us in that time period. And you look ahead in the 8 to 14, it looks very similar. So, you know, as you get into 14 days, you're talking about towards the end of January. So right now, through the end of the month, we're expecting temperatures overall to be above normal, and we'll continue to see this wet pattern, you know, generally with a system every 2 to 3 days. Summary real quick, you know, it's today and tonight. If you're living, I'd say if you're living out in the Triad, if you're down there in parts of Anson, you know, you could hear some thunder this evening and tonight. And within that, we could have some heavier or stronger wind gusts. So, you know, if you do have some outdoor plans, you just kind of need to be aware. We're not expecting that we're going to issue any warnings or there's going to be any watches, but always just have that on your radar. That rain should largely start to exit the area, I say somewhere around between 2 and 3 a.m. across eastern portions of our forecast area. Then on Friday is going to be the transition day where the cold air is coming in. And then Friday night with that strong upper level low and upper level disturbance moving through, there could be some sprinkles or flurries possible, especially across the southeast in the neck of the woods of Goldsboro and Clinton and Fayetteville. But dry this weekend. We'll make sure you have your, your heavy coats around, especially if you're going to be outside during the evening and overnight hours. I think we are forecasting for Sunday morning, Saturday night to be our coldest night. We're going to see temperatures down in the low to mid 20s. So you definitely want to have those layers. And then temperatures are going to moderate early next week with another rain chance, although it looks very light Monday night into Tuesday.